how do you recommend people set up board of advisors? Because my observation is the overwhelming majority of companies that I see that have board advisors don't really get any value out of it, and they end up giving up equity, and it really what it mostly becomes is something to put in your slide deck to raise money to say I have all these important people on my board of advisors, but I actually have ideas, but I'd love to hear from you. How did you get value? You said it was valuable.
So structure.
Okay.
It's you're taking some of your equity and you are investing in something, and you need to get something back whenever you do that, right?
Okay.
The structure that it was actually, what was it, Covad originally, an ISP?
Yeah, Covad.
I heard about their model and stole it.
Okay.
And
they competed against Rhythms, I think.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, now we're in the early, mid 90s.
Yeah.
So anyway, essentially what it is every member of the board of advisors has to be available for one point of contact, the CEO, to answer emails, take some phone calls, maybe give a favor. But the structured part of it is every month there's a call, and once a quarter you do a meeting face to face if you can.
Okay.
For the call, what we ended up alternating on was the company would take a turn presenting on a strategic issue and trying to get strategic advice. And then on the next call, we'd have an advisor come and present on a strategic issue or a technology trend or something new that really they think the company should be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Have half of the call be presenting and the other half of it discussing.
Okay.
But the value that we got was not just in really great thoughts and good guidance, but I ended up getting some of my first recruits definitively. Our first sales came from warm introductions from those advisors. And initially, when you've got nothing, a startup is initially you're making stone soup.
Right.
You put a stone in the pot and a little water. You stir it and pretend you have something really cooking.
Right.
Someone comes by and goes, "Oh, what are you making?" And you say, "Hey, you throw in a carrot here.
Yeah.
We're making some soup." And then another guy comes by with celery and so forth and so forth. The point was initially your first sales, if it's on the enterprise side, it's going to be driven by relationship. It's going to be driven by the buyer maybe believing in the vision of what the product is going to be, but it's really going to have confidence in investing in a person.
So I totally agree, and I want to come on to enterprise sales, but I want to make a few points if I could about advisory boards. Number one, at least so people know, the standard, it's about 0.25% for an advisor. Is that roughly your...
So I overpaid in the past,
okay.
but I have heard that.
I think market is about 0.25. I always give the exact same advice on board of advisors. You can have vesting, and usually it's 2-year vesting for board of advisors. Do not assume you will get a single share back.
Right.
Because if you go on the assumption that your board of advisors are important people, then even if they don't contribute what you expected, the bad will from getting 0.065% back is not worth the hassle. So if don't give it lightly, but if you're gonna give it, just assume it's gone, it's spent. Now, what I always tell people is the best way to get value out of a board of advisors is to have meetings, like you're saying. And what they should want to get out of their relationship with you a little bit is interaction with the other board of advisor members, right? And you want to build this cohesive group that sort of feels proud to be working together and working with you. If it's simply people to respond to emails, A, you won't get that much value, and B, you could do that without them being board of advisors. So I think the real value, and you almost have to be good at facilitating group meetings, have a dinner, and just pay for a nice enough dinner. Always have your dinners in private rooms, never in public areas, and lead a discussion amongst this group. And I actually would probably go for twice a year, because 4 times a year, it's hard to get people in these busy times to 4 times a year. So twice a year, small group, probably no more than 6 people, sitting around a table, and bring up strategic topics, like be vulnerable and say, look, here's what I'm working through. I'm struggling to get along with my co-founder, and I don't know what to do about it. Can we talk about that? And have important topics. And the funny thing is, the more you ask them for help, the more they'll feel affinity with you.
I think it's great advice. I think the only trick in it also is the more you have them engaged, the more that they're going to be ambassadors. And typically, these are
the more they're going to be what?
Ambassadors.
Ambassadors,
And so also, especially if you have a product that you can have them use, that's going to be absolutely the best way of kind of keeping and continually involving them, right?
Yeah.
There's a benefit, of course, if you're making collaboration software, that's really easy. A lot of the consumer stuff, right? Because part of it is these are really busy people who happen to be pretty well connected and off doing different things, speaking at different conferences. The more that you have other people speaking about you and being your ambassador for an introduction, the better.